Alright, let's dive into something that's been buzzing in the tech world recently. A story about App Store rejections, retractions, and the messy intersection of trust, misinformation, and accountability. But here's the twist. This isn't just about an app getting rejected. It's about how quickly we jump to conclusions, how easily we're misled, and the bigger questions it raises about the tech ecosystem. So buckle up. Here's the hook. What if I told you that a widely shared story about an App Store rejection being unfair was, in fact, completely wrong? Not just slightly off, fundamentally flawed. That's exactly what happened here. And it's a perfect case study in why we should all be a little more skeptical, even when the story seems to fit our narrative. Let me set the stage. A developer named Terry Godier claimed his astronomy app, Dark Hours, was rejected by the App Store because it was mistakenly categorized as astrology. Sounds outrageous, right? Especially when you consider that Godier is known for his thoughtful work like his interactive essays on RSS feed design. Personally, I think what makes this really interesting is how quickly the tech community rallied behind him. We all love a good underdog story, especially when it involves Apple's App Store, which has a reputation for being, let's say, judgmental. But here's the kicker. The app wasn't an astronomy app at all. It was originally an astrology app with tarot features. Yeah, the plot thickened fast. What many people don't realize is that the App Store has specific guidelines for certain types of apps, including astrology. Guideline 4.3b states that apps like these need to offer something meaningfully different to get approved. From my perspective, this isn't about Apple being arbitrary. It's about maintaining quality and avoiding scams, which are rampant in the astrology app space. I mean, if you take a step back and think about it, astrology apps often target the most vulnerable users. Apple's stance here isn't perfect, but it's not entirely unjustified. Now let's talk about the retraction. The original story was published by a well-respected tech writer, who later had to retract it entirely. In my opinion, this is where the story gets truly fascinating. Retractions are rare, especially from someone with 24 years of experience. What this really suggests is that even the most seasoned writers can be misled when they trust the wrong source. Godier not only misrepresented his app, but also failed to correct the narrative when given the chance. One thing that immediately stands out is how this highlights the fragility of trust in the tech community. We assume good faith, especially from creators we admire. But this story is a reminder that assumptions can backfire spectacularly. A detail I find fascinating is the naming confusion. Godier's app was originally called Asterly, not Dark Hours. But when he pivoted to an astronomy app, he reused the Dark Hours name, which just so happened to be the same as an existing open-source project. This led to an awkward exchange with the original creator, who pointed out that Godier's app had the same bugs as his. If you ask me, this feels like a pattern of cutting corners. Whether intentional or not, it doesn't look good. What this really suggests is that the story wasn't just about an app rejection. It was about a series of missteps that snowballed into a bigger mess. If you take a step back and think about it, this story raises a deeper question. How often do we amplify narratives without verifying the facts? The tech community loves to criticize Apple, and I get it. There are valid concerns about the App Store's power. But in this case, the criticism was misplaced. Personally, I think this should be a wake-up call for all of us to slow down, ask more questions, and avoid jumping on the outrage bandwagon. Here's my closing thought. Mistakes happen, but what matters is how we correct them. The writer who retracted the story did the right thing by owning up to the error and apologizing. That's accountability in action. But what about Godier? His silence on the matter is deafening. In my opinion, this story isn't just about an app rejection. It's about integrity, transparency, and the responsibility we all have when we share information. So the next time you see a headline that feels too good to be true, maybe pause and ask, what's the full story? Because, as this case proves, the truth is often far more complicated than it seems.